Greetings everyone and welcome to day 464 in our continuing updates and our coverage and our support of the war in Ukraine and of course other things that are happening in and around the world. I'm coming to you tonight from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and tomorrow I'll be heading inland in Tanzania, but I can tell you it actually helps me a little bit being here to stay up to the moment, to the very second, because I'm actually on the same time zone right now as Ukraine, Kiev, Moscow, in that same time zone, +7 from East Coast time in the United States. So thank you for being here. Good update tonight. I think you'll appreciate some of the things we're going to share. But before we jump into that, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, hitting the Patreon, doing all of those things because you are the ones that help us to get the truth out and to continue to support our efforts together as a team, all of us in Ukraine. So June the 2nd, day 464, about 9 o'clock Eastern there on the East Coast. I want to focus to begin on the borders around Ukraine. Of course, the Belgorod region there above Kharkiv, the region of Kursk, all of these regions there that are on the north and on the northeast side of Ukraine is very, very active. The Freedom Russia, I was going to say it in the Russian language, Svoboda Rossiya, that group of Russian passport holders that are coming across the border from Ukraine, sabotage, attacking places, not civilians, taking out Russian equipment, border checkpoints. It's happening more and more and more. And I'm not really sure how long Russia's going to stand for this, but that entire region is heating up quite a bit. In fact, I'll tell you how much it's heating up. Number one, Russia has rotated down to the Belgorod region a unit of special forces. Now, these are not going to be cheesy soldiers, folks. These are going to be good soldiers. As you know, Russia has two brands of soldiers, very poor and then supposedly elite. So they have moved some elite soldiers down into the Belgorod region. Secondly, we're seeing a lot of what I call false flag attacks where they're trying to blame Ukraine. They're trying to blame Svoboda Rossiya. And they really do not make mention of Svoboda Rossiya from the Russian side. They blame everything on Ukraine. These guys are wearing Ukrainian patches sometimes. These guys are coming across the border. This is a Ukrainian incursion on our sovereign territory. Hello, that's what you've been doing for 464 days on Ukrainian territory. And actually, you've been doing it since 2014 with the annexation of Crimea. But today in the Belgorod region, an apartment building lit on fire. I'm showing you that video right now. You can see the roof burning and Russia, of course, saying that this was a Ukrainian attack. Now, folks, I've been showing you video for a year and a half now. You know that's not a missile strike. That's not a shelling attack. That is actually just a false flag event. There's no way that roof of that building could be just burning like that with incoming artillery or shells. So this is what Russia's doing. We're going to see further attention drawn to those areas because it's not going to stop. Freedom Russia, Svoboda Rossiya is getting stronger by the day. They've already had another 1,000 people, Russian citizens, sign up to fight against their nation for their independence for Russians. I remind you, there are some really good Russian people whom we love very much. It's not a blanket statement. This is an evil regime led by Putin. Now, I can tell you in response to that, air attacks are increasing. In fact, it's crazy what has happened over the last month, but specifically in the Kharkiv region, S-300 missiles raining down very actively. Additionally, we're also seeing an increase in air attacks in that whole region there. Cities like Zmiev, cities like Slavyansk, Izum. Of course, these are all cities that we work in specifically, and of course with us working there, you're working there, but Russia is really increasing. And this is not cruise missiles and this is not drones. These are the S-300s, which this is the rocket that Russia has an unknown supply of. In addition to that, I can tell you today, Russia unveiled another 300 tanks out of their deep storages. Of course, this is going to be older Soviet equipment, but we can see Russia preparing. And we're going to speak about that counteroffensive in just a moment. Now, over the last 30 days, I want to give you an idea of the amount of attacks that have rained down on Ukraine. 566 missiles and drones have been flying with the intention to strike in Ukraine. Now, during that, the air defense is getting stronger. Ukraine has knocked out a large percentage of those. So the official numbers are 185 missiles, cruise missiles, and 381 drones. They would predominantly be the Shaheeds. Of those, 154 out of 185 has been shot down. 31 have hit their target. Now we know deflections happen and we've talked about that, but only 31 have hit their target. With the cruise missiles, 381 have been fired over the last 30 days. Think about that, folks. 381 cruise missiles. 342 have been shot down. 39 cruise missiles have hit their target. So this is going to continue. It's not going to slow down. Today, Zelensky in Moldova meeting with Sunak out of Great Britain. He was meeting with other leaders from Europe. He was also meeting with the Moldovan president, a wonderful lady there that is fighting for the future of Moldova to go to the EU, to go to the West, and not to be absorbed by that Russian machine under Putin. And here's a video clip today. Zelensky did two things, and this is in English. It's awesome he's speaking more in English, but today he reminded the world in the meetings in Moldova that Ukraine will not give up any territory. They will fight until Russia leaves, and zero negotiations until there are zero soldiers on sovereign Ukrainian territory. What does that mean? This war's not ending anytime soon. Additionally, he was speaking there in a joint press conference with the president of Moldova, talking about security guarantees and a look ahead to the future. Take a peek at this clip.
The president said already that we spoke about our bilateral relations, about, I think, some infrastructure, very principal priority projects, and we will sign in the closest future. I think what is very important, our future in EU, and Ukraine is ready to be in NATO. We are waiting when NATO will be ready to host and to have Ukraine. And I think security guarantees are very important, not only for Ukraine, for our neighbors, for Moldova, because of...
Just a great clip. I just, you guys know I'm a Zelensky fan and I'm a defender. I'm doing my best to meet with him on my next trip. Yeah, we got connections, folks, and we're here together. So Zelensky also made today a national statement. We had a tragedy happen in Ukraine yesterday. You may have heard about it, you may not have heard about it, but missiles were raining down as they do every day. And a mother and her two kids in Kiev were trying to get into the bunker. And these would be the concrete bunkers, not necessarily under the ground, that are created throughout the city now, in many of the cities in Ukraine. You literally open the door, you run in, there's benches there, there's water there, and you wait. And it's a very strong, I mean, the concrete walls are massive to protect you from the missile strikes. Mother and her two kids were running in, the door was locked. They were killed. Now, you may have seen about this on the news, you may not have, but President Zelensky, they're doing a day of mourning. Mayor Klitschko, yes, the former heavyweight boxing champion there in Kiev, they're outraged how this could happen. So already, the director of those bunkers that are created has been fired, removed from their position because this is not possible to happen. And additionally, today, Zelensky ordered an audit of every bunker in Ukraine. There will be zero locks on the bunkers. That will never happen again. Unfortunately, we lost 3 Ukrainians due to that. So within 10 days, that's going to be resolved. A couple of last things for you. As you guys know, the president of Hungary, Viktor Orban, an ally with Russia, an ally with Putin, he came out today. Hungary always doing their best to block anything coming through the EU. Additionally, Switzerland today reiterated that they will not give any weapons or support. There was talk that weapons will be coming from Switzerland, and I'm coming back to Orban, but it reminded me of Switzerland due to their neutral status. They want to hold that neutral status, so it is what it is. But Viktor Orban coming out today and warning Ukraine, saying, don't even think about the counteroffensive. Because if you continue with this counteroffensive, and I'm personally a believer that the counteroffensive has already begun. I see statements from Zelensky and Zaluzhny and others. Ukraine's working hard. And as we've shared with you, it's just not going to be a day we wake up and all these tanks and planes are in the air. They do not have them. So it's happening for the liberation of Ukrainian territory. But Orban coming out and warning Ukraine, saying, if you go through with this counteroffensive, you're going to lose so many people because you have not yet witnessed the force of the Russian war machine. What you have witnessed is a special operation. You have witnessed some Wagner. You've witnessed some minor soldiers. You've witnessed some minor deployment of arms, but you have not seen the Russian war machine. And if you counterattack and you continue to strike in Russian territory, I'm telling you, Ukraine, I'm warning you, you're going to be wiped off the planet. So we know, but this came out today. We know that's Orban's viewpoint, and it's very sad. Now, you know, I'm going to show you a response to that in just a second. Antony Blinken today, Secretary of State from the United States, made a pretty good statement. That's what we're going to close with. But before we do that, I want to give you an update on Bakhmut. For the first time in months and months and months, I can actually tell you that Bakhmut is pretty quiet. As you guys know, Bakhmut is completely destroyed. 100% destroyed. Wagner, 99% have pulled out of Bakhmut, and they've been replaced with Russian forces, Russian military. But I can tell you, that push on the north from Ukraine and that push on the south, that is kind of quieted down also. That entire line there on the Bakhmut city and on the north and the south has went quiet. Ukraine, they're doing rotations of equipment and soldiers. They had to do it. This was their opportunity. When Wagner's pulling out, they're rotating. It was the perfect time for Ukraine as well to do the rotation. So for the last 48, 72 hours, Bakhmut has been pretty quiet. Of course, we will keep our eyes on that because we've spent so much time talking about Bakhmut, and it's one of the major areas that we together as our church and our organization support personally. I can tell you right now, our guys are on the road heading south and heading east to deliver supplies that you guys have purchased through your continued sacrificial giving and support of things like Patreon, support you give financially or purchasing gear. Finally, Blinken's statement in response, I think not only to Orban, but to the rest of the world. He makes a statement about the second army in the world. Of course, you know, United States, number one, and Russia, number two, the second army in the world. They can't even move the front line in Ukraine, and he makes a statement about that. Pretty good statement. Here he is.
The Kremlin often claimed it had the second strongest military in the world, and many believed it. Today, many see Russia's military as the second strongest in Ukraine. Its equipment, technology, leadership, troops, strategy, tactics, and morale, a case study in failure.
So folks, there you have it. That's the update from Dar es Salaam. Maybe come here, Justin, just take a peek down the road here. Nighttime in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. You guys be blessed. Continue to support, continue to share, and do all those things. We're a great team together. Be blessed, and we'll see you on the next update.